Café Anyway.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Welcome to FF episode 2886, 2886 here at Café Anyway, somewhere in PodCastro Valley, the last place on earth. Mike's Daily Podcast. In the land of Ameritopica, what was your first job? Was it working on a factory that made corn on the cob, or did you have a band that you sang with? Or were you doing something with animals or plants or myths? Were you a docent? Mike's Daily Podcast. Did you tell stories and myths at a museum at an old castle somewhere? Is that what you did at Café Anyway? Daily. Somewhere in PodCastro Valley. Podcast. The last place on earth in the land of Ameritopica. Lots of topicas. Teenagers. I'm missing a letter there. Teenagers are making money. The teenage payday, the average take-home pay for a teenage worker has gone up since 2019, not that long ago, less than 6 years ago, has gone up 36%. Wow. That deserves a bell. That's a lot. That is, let's see, in the month of June, the average take-home pay, they were making $15.68 per hour. Teenagers. Dang. So they got some money. No wonder they're doing things like blowing it on seeing Taylor Swift when they can, unless they're in Belgium, or is it Vienna? Well, sports and music tourism is exploding. It is a $1.5 trillion industry now. Taylor Swift's Eras Tour. There's a Formula One racing. The Paris Olympics. Those were all hot vacation destinations. The sports and music tourism economy is projected to go over $1 trillion by the year 2032.
And here's today's podcast picture.
Less than 10 years away. And the podcast picture was recently, I was on Lake Chabot doing a fun little experience with my lovely lady friend. We rented a little rowboat, which I think is less than $40 an hour. And you can go out there and about 40. I did all the rowing. So after an hour, less than an hour was all I could do, basically. But it was a beautiful scenic trip, little cruise, and I got a picture from it there. You can see it at mikesdailypodcast.com with all the past podcast pictures, and it's like you're going on a little mini vacation. The late, great Basil the Boxer, he was on the Lake Chabot. We took him out there in 2018. On one of the ones, though, not the rowing ones, the pedal ones. It's like a little bicycle thing going on. Oh my gosh, you pedal and don't go anywhere. Those things are hard work. 80% of these people going on these vacations, these destination vacations for big events, they stay 1 to 3 days after the event. So they do some sightseeing. And 77% arrive 1 to 2 days before the big event. Sports tourism is estimated to reach over $1 trillion. Music tourism, that is expected to double to $13 billion in the next couple of years. 83% have flown to a sporting event. 71% have either flown to a concert or a sporting event. This all from Rob Black. I produce his podcast. He is heard on the airwaves in the Bay Area on AM 1220 KDOW weekday mornings, and he's also on.
Is that why you're bald, Mike?
I'm not bald because of that, but because of genetics. Thanks for bringing that up, you horrible man. The majority of Gen Zers and millennials would prefer to spend their money on experiences rather than save for retirement, which is pretty normal, although millennials need to not so much think that way. They need to change their thinking. Toot sweet. But Rob is on TV, on Cron TV, Monday through Thursday in the 9 o'clock hour. The F1 Las Vegas Grand Prix brought in $1.5 billion to the local economy. That is, to break that down, that's 50% more than the Super Bowl this year. The Paris Olympics sent Airbnb bookings up over $1.5 billion. Taylor Swift fans drove airfare sales to tour destinations up 45% from the previous year.
Will Robinson, danger.
From the previous year. And even youth sports tourism generated $39.7 billion in direct spending in 2021. All the youths and going to sports events and all of that, almost $40 billion in direct spending. I guess since 2021 is that particular. Anyway, it's doing good. Oh, Ryan Reynolds and Wrexham AFC Football Club, they led to a $1.3 billion boost for North Wales. So people are traveling, they're going to see sports, they're going to see concerts, they're going to events. And are they searching on Google? Well, if they are, Google's having tough times with that because they have an illegal monopoly on search. A U.S. judge ruled that Google violated antitrust laws, and they have paid $26.3 billion in 2021 alone to ensure that if the default search on smartphones and browsers, they control 90% of the online search market and 95% of search on smartphones. They're the ones to go. I don't know if I...
Hey, good looking. We'll be back to pick you up later.
I know I don't use Mr. Microphone. I know I use Bing, and then Microsoft owns Bing, and they also want to get away from Bing, it looks like, and go with... But still, a lot of people use Bing, so they keep Bing, and then they get people to use Bing by giving them points every time they go searching, and then those points, you can trade that in for stuff later down the road. But they also have Edge, Microsoft Edge. So they've got two search engines happening simultaneously, even though Edge is more of a browser overall. It's like a Chrome. It's like Chrome. It's all confusing. But they are dominating. As we go outside of Café Anyway, where we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast, somewhere in PodCastro Valley, the last place on earth, in the land of Ameritopia. This is the first big win taking on big tech's dominance. A second trial will determine fixes, possibly including a breakup of Google's parent Alphabet, or no more paid default placements. Café Anyway. The remedy phase could be lengthy, followed by a potential appeals at the appeals there at the Supreme Court going on. The legal wrangling could play out into as far as 2026. And yes, Alphabet plans to appeal the ruling. Now, other companies that have been sued as monopolies in Silicon Valley include Amazon.com, Meta, and Apple as well. So here, one last interesting thing that has to do with tech and apps and that kind of thing. The rise of hashtag underconsumption core, TikTok's latest financial trend. Underconsumption core is about making the most of what you already have and rejecting the temptation to buy more and more and more and more. Underconsumption core. Interesting. And one last thing. This affects half of the population, women, and menopause. Yes, guys, kind of makes you feel guilty that the word for us is in that name. But yes, menopause costs women $1.8 billion in lost working time per year. At the peak of their careers, nearly 50 million women in the U.S. workforce aged 35 plus will experience menopause symptoms that can last a decade or longer. Jeez.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
Sorry. That sucks. Why? Why bodies? Why must our bodies be like that? Well, not my body, but women's bodies.
Right.
I feel bad. All right. Well, it's up to us, guys.
It's a trap.
It's a trap. Nope. I don't think Akbar meant it in that way. He was talking about something to do with one of the Star Wars movies, but we got to be there for them is what I'm saying. Hey, we're outside of Café Anyway. Look who's here. Hello, my message, Madame Rootabega, and I know all about that. Ooh. Yeah. You went through that? Yes. And you saw a Star Wars movie? Yes. Did you like the Acolyte? No. Oh, that's... some people like it, some not so much. But there you go. More of that. Oh, wow. Speaking of Disney, they unveiled a bunch of stuff over the weekend about, what they're going to be doing with Walt Disney World, with the Magic Kingdom. And if you've ever been to the Magic Kingdom, you've got Splash Mountain and Big Thunder Mountain, and then there's like a forest. So I guess the forest is going to turn into, they're going to mow it down. So, hey, environmentalists, get over there now and tie yourself to trees, because this is not going to be good.
Mike is awesome.
And that's Rob. Hey, Rob, when you write your stuff out that I steal from you, can you be a little less, I don't know, check your spelling and stuff? Because you throw me off big time. Just a little note to self. Okay, but when you're tying yourself to a tree there at Walt Disney World, be careful, because they're going to make way for a Cars Land. But not like the Cars Land exactly. That's at Disney California Adventure in Anaheim, right next to Disneyland, if you've ever been. It was not there when I went to Disney California Adventure. I went shortly after it opened, so they had not built that yet. They built California Adventure, and it struggled for years. And then they added little things like the Cars Land and the Avengers campus, etc. So none of that. I want to see none of that. But I just find it fascinating that in Florida, not too far away from Walt Disney World, you've got all this Universal Studios. It has its two big amusement parks there. I've only been to one. Went with my mom years and years ago, my late mom, and we went on the earthquake ride, which is bizarre because you're in San Francisco. So you go inside, they make it feel like it's San Francisco, and then there's an earthquake. Oh, and you're riding a BART train or something, and water comes flooding in, and I'll never forget my mom said, "Is that real water?" And you can't fake water too much, Mom, but I'll never forget. That was funny. And I've had so many experiences that remind me of that. Is that really water? Is this expression is that really water? That's my song for today. That question, is it really water? Did you go to Outside Land? Was it good? I knew somebody who was going to go see the Uncle Waffle performer. I don't know how that went, but okay. Here's the thing: is Disney's trying to compete with Universal. Universal's going to open up this epic kingdom that's got even more stuff that's related to Universal. They bought the whole Harry Potter thing, so there's going to be like a Harry Potter land and How to Train Your Dragon land, and there's going to be a Nintendo World. And so all of this is going to be happening very close to Walt Disney World in Florida. So yeah, they're trying to get the bucks from the tourists that are coming to Florida. And as you know, Disney has raised rates. And if Universal charges a little less, maybe they can woo some of those families over to check their stuff out instead of going to Disney. But what's interesting is Disney is trying to combat all that. And they announced in their D23 thing that they're going to create this Cars world, but it's going to be a little bit less than the desert themed Route 66 themed one in Disney California. It's going to be a little bit more high Sierras and Yosemite, Yellowstone, geysers, that kind of thing is what they alluded to. But the thing is, when they do their conventions like that, they're often, there's this term called blue sky, where they tell all these pie in the sky type ideas and show these really beautiful paintings and pictures and intricate drawings. But in the end, like Chewie says, it's blue sky. It's not real. It's pie in the sky. It's not going to happen. And a lot of that stuff doesn't happen. So we'll see. And then there's also supposed to be, that's supposed to happen, break ground next year. And then 2026 is supposed to be the villains thing, maybe. We'll see. But I'm not going in there in anywhere near there anytime soon. But I find it fascinating. Okay, look who else is here.
Hello there, Mike. This is Valentino, the parking attendant.
And this is Bison Bentley. Do you know that?
Mike, we have a theme park going on in the parking lot day.
Yeah, it's a theme parking lot. Do you know that? Wow, look at all the rides with birds that pick you up and fly you around. That's pretty cool. And then you get to park cars. That's an interesting ride. And then you get to pay you guys money for parking your car. The valet service, the Valentino valet service. That's wonderful. Wow. So many great ideas, guys. Just fantastic. So much so I have to end the show. But if you would like to call in with your suggestions or thoughts or what you would like to add to whatever we've covered today, or maybe you've got a great idea for another ride we can put in the parking lot, you just let us know by calling this number. Right after this guy laughs with his breathy, wheezy laugh. Okay, go ahead.
Call Mike at the Café Anyway hotline. Area code 510-228-4640.
What was that all about?
And with all things Mike's Daily Podcast, like the past podcast pictures, past shows, all the places you can find the show, the blog and all that, we go to the mainframe and hear from A-Frame.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com.
Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com.
See you tomorrow. Bye!